Whether you're just doing this to, entertain your imagination, and you want to, you like to read and discover things about different folklore and different mythologies and things. I know even when I was a kid, I find that intriguing, even before I got into what I do now. Um, or whether you actually do want to know, um, just an inkling of a maybe thought that something might actually exist out there, or even in modern paganism, they believe that it at least exists in the spirit realm, uh, but not in the physical realm. If you practice what I practice, which is ancient paganism, excuse me, I need some energy drinks, I think. Uh, anyway, so if you practice, what I practice, you believe that actually they exist both in the spirit realm and the physical realm. But regardless, at the very least, if you're doing some kind of visionary work or dream work, even if it's not technical dream work, so to speak, meaning you're not trying to do it, but you're legit asleep and you have a dream where a faun visits you in that dream, and what totemically that actually means versus what people say it means. In fact, there's a lot of contradictory theories out there as to what it could mean. And so I'm going to go over a lot of different theories and paralleling each theory, and I'm going to pick out, okay, this is where it all went wrong. This is where it all got botched because of somebody's fear-based assumption. So we'll get into that later, but right now I'm actually going to talk about what a faun really means. And then I'm going to, do what I want to focus on primarily is comparing and showing you why and how people got night and day different views on the same exact creature, and why it indeed is the same creature. Proof of how it is the same creature. Proof is not the right word, but just statistic wise, you can point out, okay, that came from that. If you don't understand what I mean, just wait, you'll see. So, a faun, in essence, is a creature that is trying to guide you on the right path, the path that you're meant to take. Some would even call it your greater purpose. If you're, kind of stuck and just kind of twiddling your thumbs in life and not living up to your best potential, or whether you've actually gone down the deep end and you're at rock bottom. Either way, typically that's when they most show themselves. I won't say that's the only time, but basically they are trying to first test you to see if you're even worthy of their help. Because let's be honest, if someone just wants to stay stagnant and not try, then why help them? If someone just wants to stay at rock bottom and just keep going way off the deep end, why bother? And the way that they test you is actually quite riddled. They will try to trick you into thinking that the right answer is wrong and the wrong answer is right. And as long as you're pure of heart, you will always choose right. Even if you think it's wrong, you'll always end up choosing right. They will confuse the bloody hell out of you. And, a lot of times when they're testing you, and you'll think that you failed the test when actually you passed it. So sometimes that happens. But there is no way to trick you into doing the wrong thing and to choosing the wrong path as long as your pure intent is there. Then there's absolutely no way that you could be tempted into that wrong path. They have a lot of seductive properties to them, a lot of ability to influence. But at the end of the day, their entire purpose for, even visiting at all is, okay, let's get your priorities straight. Let's get everything back in order. Because if you don't, there will be consequences to follow. Not of the Fauns doing, typically, but they're trying to prevent you from that troubled path actually causing you harm and trouble. They come at a time usually where it's like a do or die moment, where, you can decide to choose the right option before it's too late, but then soon after to follow, if you don't, it'll be too late, and there'll be a point of no return type situation. So they show up kind of right before that point of no return a lot of times. But they're also creatures of healing and cleansing and protection even at times. They've got a lot of fertility magic, a ton of fertility magic. So, and really simply put, a faun lives 1 foot in humanity and 1 foot in the realms of nature. Simply put, a faun is a literal type of werewolf. So what I mean by that werewolf is that you shapeshift. They can be 100% human, 100% animal. They can shift into one or the other, but they're what I would call their true form usually is sort of more of a humanoid torso with a animalistic lower half. So basically you've got upper half being human with animal characteristics. A lot of time, especially the ears, the nose, if not the entire head, it may be even the head and neck and top part of, the uppermost top part of the shoulders is very much, looks a lot like an animal, but then the rest of the shoulders and the rest of the torso is very humanoid. Sometimes it's just a kind of a human face with, just kind of an animal characteristic nose and ears. And it's, the bottom is kind of reverse. It's like an animal, but with human characteristics. So, they've got pretty much everything is, the legs, the feet, everything is kind of mostly animal, and then just the knees, pretty much just the knees look kind of human, not totally human, but kind of human, which I couldn't get the AI to do. Oh, this is AI, by the way, that's why it's not perfect. I couldn't get the AI to give me one with the legs. So sorry about that, but I would have had it. But most of us know what that looks like anyway. So, and there's a reason for that. You don't want human feet to be able to be agile and run through the forest. You want hooves. If you had human feet, they'd be tender and everything, little thing you'd step on would hurt. You want just enough of the human knee to be able to stand upright, but you still want, the power and the swiftness and the agileness of the animal. You would want to have hands, so that you could pick up things, most definitely. So that makes a lot of sense. But with the hands, you usually have claws. So, your feet are hooves, your hands are just hands, in what I would call the typical form. A lot of times they've got, even in the torso, they've got maybe not a fully furred torso, may or may not have a fully furred torso, but will have patches of fur here and there, sometimes on the arms, the chest, and the back. And what I just described to you, to the T, a human-looking creature with hooves, ungulate hooves, and an animalistic sort of legs, and a lot of times can be a complete animal head and neck. Okay, what I just described to you is what these Christian people think is literally like a son of the devil demon. Some of them believe, quote, the devil himself. It's depicted exactly like that. And not just what it looks like, but also the fact that it will tempt you into trying to choose wrong. But their spin on it is all about, this falsivity, fear-based. So what they think is that it's trying to tempt you to choose wrong, not to help you, but to hurt you, and to make you, basically go to the dark side and, submit to Satan. I don't know. I mean, that's what they think, because it has to test you in such a way that it gets to the core of who you really are, so that you don't know what it truly wants, what the right answer is. Because if you could predict what the right answer would be, you would just say or do what you think the faun wants you to do or say, and that wouldn't be a true test, would it? They're trying to test the core of who you really are, and what you are at your core, at your utmost depth, and what your true intentions are at heart. And if you're just doing what you think it wants you to do, then that's not really your true intentions, is it? So there's a legit reason why they have to test you like that, so that you will think what they want is the opposite of what they actually want. And at the end of the day, if you're pure intent, you will not do what you think they want. You'll do in your heart what you know is right. And at the end of the day, they'll say, okay, you passed the test. Sometimes they have to keep kind of changing it up on you. And if you start to learn a pattern, you'll think, okay, they always want me to do what they say they don't want me to do. This faun is smart enough to know that people would figure that out, so eventually that they'll change it up on you and say, actually, no, what I was getting you to do this time, that's what I really wanted you to do. So they're unpredictable. I should point that out just to clarify what I mean. Sometimes what they want you to do is what they really want you to do, is the right thing, is the right decision, a path of heart and pure intent. Sometimes what they make you think they want is ill intent. So at the end of the day, they could try and entice either thing to happen. They could try to lure you to do the right thing or the wrong thing. At the end of the day, I know this is really complicated and complex, I'm trying my best. It's all about confusion. They want you to be confused, because at the end of the day, if you're confused, you're going to choose, the depths of who you are, the core of who you are, is going to have to make that decision. because you're too confused otherwise to make a choice. So, you know, but the only time these tests are very much, they're deep. I mean, they unearth a lot of deep emotions, and so they're not easy tests. They unearth baggage and just all different things in your life. So yeah, there's no way to fail that test unless you're evil yourself. If you're evil, that means you've got selfishness in you, you've got arrogance in you, you've got a lot of other things in you as well that would prompt you to make the wrong decision. And somebody of heartlessness, of course, what are they going to do? They're going to blame the faun, not their own mistake. So that's where that came around. These long time ago, these very arrogant, think about it, Christianity is a very arrogant religion. You might not realize it, but it is. I mean, what other religion is like, okay, somebody is going to die for all our sins so that we can be evil and do wrong, and then we'll be forgiven for it. Also, everything on the earth belongs to them just because they're human. Like, everything in nature was created just for them and no other reason. I mean, that's what they believe. It's a very selfish, extremely selfish outlook on life. And long ago, before Christianity reformed and became of better values, I still don't think it has that great of values, but it's got better values than it used to. Long time ago, when they were still barbaric and murdering everyone that wasn't exactly like them, long time ago, that is where these theories came to be on what these creatures were. That's where the stories come from, folks. They come from pre-Nazi era, that kind of mindset, you know, that, okay, we're just going to control everyone and everything. And if no one obeys, we will kill them. In fact, we'll kill them in a very brutal way. We'll light them on fire. Or we'll drown them. Or we'll chop off their heads. You know, those are the kind of barbaric people that came up with the stupid devil in the flesh story. The people who know what a faun really is and what it really stands for, their belief is from a much more objective point of view, from a time where people still had a connection to nature and listened to it, listened to what she had to say, respected her, you know, and sometimes even worshipped her. There was no reason to, you know, be blind, because everyone could see. No one had to pry their eyes open forcefully because they were already open. And, you know, in those ancient times, before all of this destruction happened, people still, you know, could sense, kind of even with just a sixth sense alone, the truth about, you know, this vibrational energy of someone's being, whether they're pure intent or ill intent. They could just look into someone's eyes and know. They could just hear their voice and know what their intent is and not have to even question it. Thinking for yourself is something that I wish people would do a lot more often, because if you thought for yourself, a lot of other issues in the world today, like, I don't know, racism and intolerance and all this, wouldn't be there. If you could think for yourself and not follow what someone else tells you, you know, a lot of the things that have set us at odds wouldn't even exist today. But that's a story for another day, innit? Okay, so back to Fauns. So basically, okay, you've got both sides of the spectrum saying that it's a creature that is trying to, in a riddled type of way, reveal the inner core of who you are by trying to trick you to do the wrong thing. You got both sides that are kind of saying that. You got both sides accurately depicting physically what the creature looks like. To the T, both describe it exactly the same way, pretty much. The only difference is the intent, really. When you come down to it, the only difference is the intent of why. The fawn is not there to, quote, make you sin, no. They want to make sure that they're not helping somebody evil that doesn't deserve to be helped. You know. They got enough shit. They don't need yours. And that test is a test of trust. See whether or not they can trust you. Most of the time, they're very elusive. Although a fawn can become human, 100% human, you know, and blend in with human society. While that does happen sometimes, if you believe in what the ancient paganism believes in. Most of the time, I'd say most of the time they stay in the forest. And most of the time, I would even argue, if they're anywhere remotely close to human, where humans are, I mean, they will look like a 100% regular animal out there, and you wouldn't think any different. You would just think that they are just a regular old deer, a regular old goat, a regular old ram. Being a shapeshifter like that, that is how they blend in, that's how they hide, and whether they choose to hide as an animal or choose to hide as a human can depend on what task is at hand. But like I said, most of the time, when they're in hiding, they'll be in animal form, I'd say, nowadays. Because most of them are more connected to the forest and to nature than they are to human society. Can you blame them? They'll only reveal their true form to you if they can trust you and they think that, you know, you're worthy of knowing.